I don't normally join the bandwagon when it comes to speculation type videos. The what ifs and what's coming to War Thunder and is this coming to War Thunder videos are kind of a bit tiresome. You know, it's been played out for the last 10 years, now we have leaks and data mines and we have various other things to worry about as well. Plus, you know, there's new battle passes and events, and Galgen's full of themselves for just absolute, well, providing us a heap of content. The other thing too is, well, there's so much that changes during the year, and Galgen doubles back and doubles down on what they can and can't have. Ultimately, for those of you yelling that we need a balanced patch where everything goes to quality of life, well, that won't necessarily happen, because if War Thunder stops just one moment to just focus on the quality of life aspects, you know, fixing a lot of bugs or fixing a lot of other issues, the update will be considered boring and therefore not draw in players and not earn them any money. That's why they have the Fix series, because in between updates they can fix more regular issues and then address that on a more public scale. I just think that that's kind of a bit of an interesting point there. Like, if War Thunder stops adding vehicles, then we're doomed. It's not all about that, although over 2,500 vehicles, you think at this point they'd slow down or maybe go visit World War I or maybe some more Vietnam stuff. But no, we're flying straight ahead, and we do know that this year what is coming, particularly with the first quarter of the year, we do know that there's going to be more Fox 3 missiles, particularly AIM-120s, probably R-77s. I don't know whether that would include anti-radiation stuff or Shrikes or various other different types of missile types. I'm not really competent on those kinds of things. That's not my bread and butter. I'm a former engineer. I basically love propeller-driven stuff. That is my bread and butter, but nobody cares for that much stuff and propellers. They're a bit sad these days. And while I hope to go back to World War I, it'd never happen in a lifetime. Now, back to the missiles. We already have AIM-54s in game, people know that, and well, obviously we do have PL-11s, or is it PL-12s, I think, the Chinese equivalent of those particular missiles. BVR already exists within War Thunder. It's just the furball currently is 16 versus 16, and you rush straight into the middle of the map. You fly as low as you can, you dump a bunch of flares, and then you absolutely just dominate with either missiles or you get absolutely shredded. It's a confusing clusterfuck, and I mean that, an absolute mess. So my hopes is that, obviously, while we're getting new missile types and various other new vehicles, to hopefully that they would either reduce the player count at top tier, or address some of the feedback issues and hopefully decompress some of those battle ratings that we've been wanting. So, you know, again, adding more missiles doesn't solve the problem of people just taking off, launching a few missiles into space and then letting them track targets in their own, and then landing and getting some more missiles and doing the same thing. Gameplay-wise, it doesn't necessarily make sense. At least the early stuff that we have now, well, you can get the occasional kill with an F-14 or F-15, and most times people just tend to stick to what they know, which is infrared stuff, while just dogfighting in stupid close-range combat, which doesn't happen in the real world in any case, and is really quite a strange phenomenon. Now, let's talk about War Thunder Mobile. I know, mobile games. Important, because they've already got submarines in the game, they've already got bigger battleships, Yamato and Iowa, and they've got Bismarck and various other things. I think they've also got Nelson and a few other bigger ships. It's quite contentious, because I know a lot of people don't like vessels and naval vessels, so I won't talk too long. But prediction here is that we'll get some form of content that is available on the mobile device that we haven't got in the main game just yet. And again, that's a big asterisk, because obviously the 3 naval players will enjoy having, I know, bigger battleships to play around with. And it's ultimately too early to know what will happen to naval, but again, you know, it's about time that naval got some bigger battleships that aren't just World War I in focus or interwar dreadnoughts. Enough about ships, let's talk about tanks, particularly rank 8 and what could happen for top tier. Obviously, you've got stuff like the wacky Russian prototypes that could all be added into game at some point. I mean, the discussion for prototype vehicles and various other things is a separate subject in its entirety. However, the lack of rank 8s for those nations like Italy, Israel, France, Japan is kind of a bit worrying, as they've already got their top tier contenders, and what are they going to have? Are they going to have some prototype thing? Are they going to get, like, for example, with Air, they got a Mirage 4000. Are we going to see some of the wacky infantry fighting vehicles and some of the concept vehicles going forward? Like, what's actually going to happen? So, rank 8 is a contentious point, but for ground forces, maybe we'll see stuff like the 2S38 in types of content for other nations, or maybe we'll get the new M10 that America announced. I don't know. It's all speculation, and, well, ground forces, well, as it is the most popular mode, I don't know, it's a bit of a weird one. Especially since we've got several different variants of Challenger, which technically are all the same vehicle. Just feels like we're scraping the bottom of the barrel for at least, scraping at versions and different numbers. And yeah, again, there's the whole entire issue with Spallliners and M1 Abrams being, not equivalent to that of, a T-80s. And it's almost like the Russians are gaslighting us for providing decent amount of information, yet they're just going off one factory card or some, like, brochure that they got given by some KGB agent. Yeah, I don't know. The world's a funny place, and I just think that War Thunder overall is at a stage where the classified documents and the leaks that are happening only hinder the game further, and they only go to sort of prove that, well, War Thunder's overall experience isn't the same as what it was 5 years ago. Unless we delve into prototype wacky vehicles and wonder waffles, essentially, there isn't really a timeline where War Thunder gets any better, because, balancing 2,500 vehicles and adding, 30 or 40 vehicles every major update every couple of months, plus event vehicles, is kind of a bit insane. Like, we're living in a timeline where there is so much to do and so much to unlock, as well as so much to discuss. Like, every single week there is a new controversy or a new sort of, I guess, drama about War Thunder. It's quite a fascinating space to sort of observe. And I think for this year, we'll probably get more of that. It's never going to change. Human nature is human nature. But stick with us this year. We'll try and cover some of the ongoings, and hopefully we'll cover only the important bits that at least I deem to be relevant. And unfortunately, with covering this kind of stuff, we already know what is potentially coming towards the new update. We already know what is coming for the most part. It's just going to be how Gaijin Entertainment decides to implement this into War Thunder, whether the developers actually develop the game properly, or whether they just half-ass it like they seem to do with most of the recent updates. So, I mean, there is a positive lining. Hopefully they give us some more unique, lower tier vehicles. That'll be fantastic. But on the hindsight, their focus on top tier will actively probably ruin this game, and it's going to be a little while before we actually see a resolve to some of the questions about economy and research that were implemented into the last year's roadmap. And we're just looking forward to, well, this year's roadmap, providing they actually release, some of the things that they've been collecting from other content creators. So to recap, we're getting the same old, same old. There'll be new battle passes, there'll be new event vehicles, there'll be new events, there'll be new whatevers. What my initial hope is that there'll be new game modes. Maybe they'll go back to a World War season where they completely screw up again and the community complains that World War mode isn't, very good. Or maybe they'll, do another YouTube Cup, or maybe they'll do, I don't know, some of the random game mode thing. But the most fun that I had last year, towards the end, was playing the naval submarine sort of event. And that is saying something. I hope for a good April Fool's this year, and I hope that, well, War Thunder overall just becomes a better place. Because it really needs it. At the moment, it's a bit of a higgledy-piggledy mess, and I hope they sort it out. While it is certainly a functional game, it is starting to show its age. 11 years old. At what point are they going to introduce reserve tier vehicles for, MiG-15s and stuff? Oh wait, those are the top mid-tier premiums? They used to be top tier. Oh, I'm getting too old for this. I remember when the MiG-15 was top tier. And then we got supersonic stuff, and that was good fun for a little while. I don't know. War Thunder is an ever-evolving game. Don't let it bring you down, Change is good, but it can be bad at the same time, depending on how you handle it. Alright guys, let me know what you think, and what do you think is coming in this year's, well, updates? Yeah, we'll call it that. Thank you very much for watching. Get my decal in the link in the description. Subscribe. We're nearly at 70,000 subscribers. And we'll see you in the next one soon. Bye-bye.